Of course, African countries are sovereign politically, but we also know we are sovereign economically. However, there is still a whole lot of interdependence, or rather dependence, on outside entities and outside forces, which makes it very difficult. But when it comes to the health sector, that's where even the dependence is probably much high, with the knowledge that we're told that less than 1% of the vaccines used in Africa are produced in Africa. Up to 99% are imported. So that is why it is so critical that we look inwards. Now, helping us do that, we have this a distinguished set of panelists here. I'm going to mention their names. We have Dr. Astrid TRIMMEL. She's on the far right. Astrid. Let's give her a round of applause. We also were expecting Dr. Ngashi Ngongo. Is he around? Okay, so Dr. TAJUDEEN is representing the Africa CDC. TAJUDEEN is a big brother, or good brother. Not a big brother. I think I have more gray hair than TAJUDEEN. But very soon his hair will start getting gray. So it's the problems. Now he has the problems of Africa with his DG. He's the Deputy Director General of the Africa CDC, and very, very knowledgeable in health affairs, especially African affairs. So we're happy to have you here. Well, unfortunately, I'm not given a list, so I'm going through the documents I have to get the names of the people. We are also expecting Professor Abdurrahman Marufi, who is not around too, but I hope we have Dr. Nikes Ndembi. Dr. Nikes Ndembi will be online. And probably, Doctor, you introduce the two of them. Madame.
Merci beaucoup, monsieur le ministre. C'est un plaisir d'être avec vous aujourd'hui sur ce panel que vous avez bien introduit. Donc, les panélistes que nous avons ici, à ma gauche, Dr Anandiaï, qui s'occupe de recherche clinique à l'Institut Pasteur de Dakar. Nous avons aussi Dr Mariam Siga, qu'on va présenter aussi, qui est à l'Institut Pasteur de Dakar. Je pense que c'est ça la liste des panélistes. Merci.
Thank you very much. To waste, because we are already late, and so we're going to give each of the panelists 5 minutes to delve into the affairs. If there is more time towards the end, then they will be asked to go for a second round. We start with Dr. Astrid TRIMMEL. Dr. Astrid TRIMMEL is the analytics manager at the Afrigen Biologics based in Cape Town, South Africa, with over a decade of experience in analytical chemistry and biopharmaceutical development. She brings deep expertise in method design, validation, and regulatory compliance for complex biologics, including mRNA-based therapeutics. Astrid is passionate about building robust regulatory compliant methods that ensure product quality and safety. And she thrives at the intersection of science, precision, and impact. Her work contributes directly to Afrigen's mission of enabling sustainable vaccine manufacturing capacity in Africa. Astrid holds a PhD in chemistry from the University of Cape Town, where she developed a strong foundation in analytical techniques such as HPLC and bioassays. At Afrigen, she plays a pivotal role in establishing robust analytical platforms to support the development and manufacturing of next-generation vaccines, contributing to the continent's growing biomanufacturing capabilities. Her work is driven by a commitment to scientific excellence, quality assurance, and capacity building in Africa's health innovation ecosystem. Our plan was to shorten the background, but with such a wonderful background, I couldn't but continue to say it all. So thank you very much for coming, Astrid. The question for you is, can you tell us about good manufacturing practices and local production of vaccines in the context of African countries' quest for vaccine sovereignty? Can you share with us also your experience as well as the challenges and solutions envisaged? Thank you.
Thank you, moderator. Morning, everybody. So I'll just dive straight into my talk. So Afrigen's pursuit for vaccine sovereignty is more than a reaction to the inequities we witnessed during COVID-19. It is a strategic imperative for public health resilience and determination on our continent. At the heart of the ambition lies one foundation, good manufacturing practice, or GMP. GMP is not merely a regulatory requirement, it is a cornerstone of trust and quality in vaccine production, ensuring that every dose reaching a healthcare worker or a child is safe, effective, and consistent. Yet implementing GMP across Africa remains a technical and institutional challenge. It requires infrastructure that meets global standards, a workforce of highly skilled professionals in quality control and analytical sciences, harmonized regulatory systems across borders, and critically sustained financial investment to build and maintain these capabilities. Despite these challenges, we have seen some remarkable progress. So Afrigen Biologics in South Africa is pioneering the mRNA vaccine development under the WHO mRNA Technology Transfer Program. We should also highlight some institutions across Africa like IPD, IPT, Egypt, and BioVac in South Africa, who has the full finished vaccine manufacturing capabilities. And the WHO mRNA Hub continues to strengthen the collaboration and capacity building across the continent. So together, these initiatives have proven that Africa can produce high-quality vaccines. The next question is, how do we scale, sustain, and align these efforts? We still face limited access to validated analytical methods, fragmented regulatory systems, and high compliance costs for emerging manufacturers. The African Medicines Agency, or AMA, established 2 years ago, represents a milestone towards harmonized oversight, yet its full operationalization is still ongoing. Supply chain constraints also persist. Many African manufacturers face reagent and equipment delays of up to 6 months because the continent remains low on the priority list of global suppliers. To move forward, we must invest in capacity building, training scientists and technicians in GMP, quality control, and analytical method development, strengthen the AMA and regional regulatory cooperation, creating a shared ecosystem of trust, and also promote open and equitable technology transfer, ensuring that knowledge is shared, not locked behind intellectual barriers. Let me bring this closer to home to Afrigen's journey. As Pietro, our CEO, often says, Afrigen is a boutique company. It's small but unique. When we joined the WHO mRNA program, we did not receive a ready-made process or analytics package. That could have been a setback for us. It became an opportunity. We built everything from the ground up, every method, every control, every process. In doing so, we became a true end-to-end manufacturer, developing both the drug substance and drug product, first at R&D scale, and later manufacturing under GMP conditions. These methods are developed in-house, were later transferred to our partners, forming a backbone of a platform that allows Africa to respond to new disease threats, especially those affecting our own populations. When the next pandemic arrives, and it will, Afrigen and its partners will be ready to act quickly and locally, producing enough vaccine doses collectively for our low to middle income populations within weeks. Because we are now where we are, because as we know, where vaccines are made matters. Our mission is not only to produce vaccines in South Africa, it is to help build a continental ecosystem for vaccine manufacturing. So to achieve this, we need to sustain government support, particularly to offset logistic costs and import delays. We continue to work closely with the regulatory authorities to ensure that every step of production meets GMP standards while keeping patient safety at the center. One of Afrigen's proudest moments or achievements is our technology transfer network, which includes 15 partners from low to middle income countries, 5 of which are based in Africa: BioVac in South Africa, IPD in Senegal, IPT in Tunisia, Nigeria, and Kenya. Together, we are strengthening the technical capacity, advancing regulatory excellence, and building a shared culture of quality. Afrigen may be small, but through collaboration, innovation, and determination, we are part of a continental movement towards self-reliance in vaccine manufacturing. So in conclusion, Africa's vaccine sovereignty is not only about producing vaccines at home, it is about creating a quality ecosystem rooted in GMP, powered by science, and sustained by collaboration. With strategic investment, regional solidarity, and the unwavering commitment to excellence, Africa will not just catch up, Africa will lead. We have the knowledge, we have the talent, and we have the determination. Now we must keep building together. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam. Thank you for elaborating on the good work that you've been doing, technology transfer, capacity building, ensuring good manufacturing practice. Of course, you elaborated on the challenges as well, especially the logistics and import delays. At the continental level, are you having collaborative work with other agencies? I heard you mention African Medicines Agency. What level of collaboration are you having with WHO, Afro, or Africa CDC? Because to have a continent-wide impact, we have to have a central body that brings people together. If it were the marketplace, because otherwise a lot of entities will be doing in different countries will be doing it separately. But we need that marketplace. We need that attracting force. We need that center of coordination to bring your efforts together and to scale them up. And I don't think there's any better entity to do that than Africa CDC and in some cases the WHO. So are you having some collaborative work with them? If so, let's hear from you. If not, do you have plans to do so? Thank you.
Yeah, we definitely do have. I can't speak to it now, but I know with the WHO, they found that with mRNA,
Sorry.
and with COVID happening and the border closing and our people dying, it was important to ensure that we look at capable manufacturers around Africa that can support this technology. So our platform is mRNA to ensure that when we do make vaccines, it happens fast. I do think we do have collaborations or discussions with Africa CDC, definitely the WHO. So this is ongoing. I think the important part here is communication. We need to ensure that the communication lines are open, that we are competitive, but not to the point where we are closing our doors, because we really can't afford to have any man left behind. And especially knowing how the global north works, the global south should stick together.
Thank you very much, Dr. TRIMMEL. Thank you for those insights. We thank you once again. A big round of applause for her, please. Thank you. At this juncture, I give to my colleague, my brother, Dr. Socé, to introduce the next speaker and to follow up from there. Thank you.
Merci beaucoup, Monsieur le ministre et chers frères. J'ai le plaisir de présenter Dr. Mariam Sidia de l'Institut Pasteur de Dakar. Dr. Mariam est un exemple de ce que nous sommes en train de faire à l'Institut Pasteur, ce que j'appelle en anglais reverse branding. On inverse la fuite des cerveaux. Donc, elle est rentrée du Canada pour s'occuper de notre centre régional de renforcement des capacités en biomanufacturing. Elle avait déjà travaillé à Pasteur et elle a travaillé au Canada et à l'international dans l'industrie pharmaceutique y compris à Pfizer, où elle a dirigé donc, beaucoup de projets de renforcement des capacités. Nous avons beaucoup d'exemples dans la salle de jeunes qui sont revenus de l'Europe, des États-Unis, donc à Pasteur, mais aussi en dehors de Pasteur. Je pense que c'est un exemple important pour les pays africains. Donc, Dr Mayem Siga, j'ai résumé brièvement votre parcours, mais vous avez plus parlé de ce que vous faites actuellement et nous présenter le centre de formation que vous dirigez sur les métiers de la production vaccinale et surtout sa place et son rôle au niveau africain dans le cadre de la souveraineté vaccinale. Parce que le centre est un centre collaborateur pour Africa CD, c'est un réseau régional. Mais dans l'écosystème de l'Institut Pasteur, nous avons beaucoup de centres de référence de l'OMS pour les arboviroses, les fièvres, hémorragies virales, etc. Donc, docteur, si vous avez la parole. Merci.
Merci AG, comme, comme je vous appelle. Donc, merci beaucoup. Bonjour à tout le monde. Je vais parler du centre de formation en biomanufacturing que je dirige ici à l'Institut Pasteur et parler un peu du contexte et de comment ce centre a été créé, comment est-ce qu'il a vu le jour. Donc, on en a parlé, hein, la souveraineté vaccinale est devenue un topic plus que important, plus que critique. Après Covid, on a vu comment on était tous laissés en rade en Afrique par rapport aux besoins en vaccins. Donc, qu'est-ce qu'il faut pour subvenir à ces besoins en vaccins-là en cas de nouvelle épidémie? Donc, souveraineté vaccinale, on a ce Public Health Order de l'Union africaine. Donc, d'ici 2040, on aimerait que 60% des vaccins consommés en Afrique soient fabriqués sur le continent. Et pour cela, nous avons besoin de 14 000 employés à temps plein dans le domaine d'ici 2040. Donc, comment faire pour arriver à avoir cette main-d'œuvre-là? Donc, en ce moment, c'est que la majorité des personnes qui sont formées dans ce domaine, c'est un domaine naissant en Afrique, la fabrication de vaccins et le biomanufacturing en général. La plupart des personnes formées dans ce domaine étaient formées à l'étranger. Donc, quelle stratégie mettre en place pour relocaliser ces formations-là au niveau du Sénégal, notamment ici à l'Institut Pasteur, très rapidement? Donc, ça, c'est un mot-clé, il faut le déployer assez rapidement et le mettre en place à l'Institut Pasteur pour pouvoir commencer à bâtir cette capacité humaine-là. Donc, ce projet a été mis en place avec la Fondation Mastercard à travers l'initiative Madiba Workforce Development. Ça a été mis en place en 2023. Donc, aujourd'hui, le centre existe. Donc, le centre est à Diamniadio, pas loin du site de production Madiba. Donc, c'est un centre d'à peu près 1200 mètres carrés dédié uniquement à de la formation. Donc, c'est un centre, je vais appeler ça GMP-like, donc il ressemble à un environnement GMP, donc un environnement BPF, un environnement de fabrication, mais dédié uniquement à de la formation. Donc, on a des équipements industriels avec des salles dédiées, des équipements industriels où les apprenants peuvent venir et apprendre à utiliser les équipements. Donc, la formation pratique est quelque chose qui manquait à nos cursus de formation ici, au niveau des universités, au niveau des écoles de formation. Donc, ça, c'est quelque chose que nous avons et que nous mettons à disposition des académies pour pouvoir les utiliser. On a également la main-d'œuvre qui va avec, donc, c'est-à-dire des formateurs qui viennent également de la diaspora, donc avec ce background en biomanufacturing qui n'existe pas nécessairement au Sénégal ou en Afrique. Donc, ces formatrices, on en a 2 en ce moment, on en recherche, et elles ont ce background industriel. Donc, ce qu'il faut leur donner, c'est cette habileté à livrer des formations, et on est dessus. Donc, elles ont fait 3 semaines de train the trainer en Irlande avec notre partenaire principal, partenaire technique principal. Donc ça, je vais parler de ça peut-être un petit peu parce que NIBERT, notre partenaire en matériel de formation, matériel didactique, il se trouve en Irlande. Donc ça, c'est une stratégie, une première stratégie pour pouvoir avoir les modules de formation disponibles localement, mais rapidement. On aurait pu se dire, OK, on va bâtir nos modules de formation nous-mêmes, mais pourquoi réinventer la roue? C'est quelque chose qui existe déjà ailleurs, qui est déjà donné ailleurs. Donc, prenons le même matériel, adaptons-le à nos besoins. Donc, c'est de la formation modulable, hein. Donc, on l'adapte à nos besoins actuels pour former des techniciens, des opérateurs, des qualiticiens, des ingénieurs en bioprocessing que nous pouvons former au niveau du centre pour comment on dit ça, bâtir ces compétences-là. Donc, NIBERT, notre premier partenaire technique pour le matériel didactique. Ensuite, on en recherche d'autres pour tout ce qui est métier connexe. Donc, on a l'assurance qualité, les affaires réglementaires. Tout ça, c'est des métiers qui sont connectés et qui ont également besoin d'être développés comme compétences au niveau de nos pays. Donc, élever les compétences également à ce niveau-là. Donc, je vais parler aussi de l'impact et de la vision. Donc, le rôle du centre, on le positionne vraiment au niveau local, donc au niveau sénégalais, local, et aussi au niveau régional et continental. Donc, au niveau local, on a ces partenariats en place avec différentes universités. On a déjà des programmes qui sont démarrés avec l'université Rose-Dien, par exemple. On a un partenariat qui a été signé avec l'université Ahmadou, un qui est en vue avec l'UCAD pour différents cursus. Donc, le premier, c'est un cursus de technicien en bioproduction qui a démarré le mois dernier avec l'université Rose-Dien, ancien campus franco-sénégalais. Donc, un programme de 6 mois où on leur donne vraiment accès à ce plateau technique et à l'expertise de nos formateurs pour pouvoir élever les compétences au niveau de la formation pratique même. Donc, savoir c'est quoi les équipements industriels de fabrication de vaccins, comment est-ce qu'on les utilise avant de pouvoir rejoindre un poste de travail en industrie. Donc, ça, c'est très important parce qu'en arrivant en industrie, on n'entre pas directement dans la zone de travail. Ça va prendre peut-être 1 an ou plus pour arriver à être compétent et à avoir la formation adéquate pour entrer. Donc, au niveau du centre de formation, qu'est-ce qu'on essaie de faire? Raccourcir ces délais de formation-là dans un premier temps à 1 mois, 2 mois au lieu de 1 an pour que les apprenants puissent être opérationnels tout de suite arrivés au niveau de leur poste. D'autres diplômes sont également en cours avec l'Université Ahmadou, un diplôme de 6 mois, un certificat de 6 mois. On songe à des masters également avec l'UCAD, où on a ce plateau technique-là qu'on met à disposition et aussi l'expertise technique qu'on a à l'IPD. Donc, une collaboration continentale, je vais dire, avec l'Afrique CDC. On est le secrétariat du RCCM, donc le réseau des compétences au niveau, donc pour tout ce qui est biomanufacturing, tout ce qui est bioproduction, est coordonné au niveau du Sénégal même, pour la région de l'Afrique de l'Ouest. Et c'est nous qui le faisons au niveau de l'Afrique de l'Ouest. Et au niveau de l'IPD, on le coordonne. Donc, on a eu notre premier kick-off, notre premier workshop, kick-off workshop en juillet, où on a réussi à avoir plusieurs organisations rejoindre ce réseau-là pour qu'on puisse coordonner cet effort continental-là de bâtir la main-d'œuvre pour atteindre cette souveraineté vaccinale-là. Donc, dans ce cadre-là, on reçoit des fellowships. Donc, on a des fellows qui étaient là il y a quelques semaines, qui étaient venus pour apprendre, parce qu'il y a tellement à apprendre au niveau de l'Institut Pasteur. On a différents types d'infrastructures. On a Diatropix, on a le Vaccinopole. Donc, ils ont pu apprendre tellement en faisant ce study tour-là au niveau de l'IPD, en plus des cours qu'on leur dispense au niveau du RTH. Donc, un rôle vraiment continental là, est coordonné par l'Afrique CDC également pour atteindre cette souveraineté.
Merci, Marielle. Je sais que
Merci.
Tu as beaucoup à dire, mais sinon,
Oui,
on va revenir. Il y a beaucoup de choses intéressantes que Marielle a à dire. Donc, mais on va s'arrêter là pour vous donner l'opportunité de venir découvrir plus. Parce qu'il y a beaucoup à faire et l'originalité de tout ça, c'est d'avoir une formation pratique associée à une formation diplômante avec différentes universités dans un domaine très, très rare en Afrique. Merci. Je repasse la parole à Monsieur le ministre pour notre prochain panéliste, qui est le Dr TAJUDEEN.
Good afternoon and greetings from Africa CDC. Let me acknowledge Excellency Minister of Health from Gambia. Let me also acknowledge Big Brother, Dr. Socé, and distinguished panelists, member state and partners in the room. So the manufacturing agenda actually, is something that has been in the pipeline for long, but it got accelerated with the COVID-19 pandemic. When we realized that, there is no supply chain security when the chips are down. We also how the whole continent was left to grapple with what trickled down after virtually every other member state in the global north have received multiple times over their fair share of the product that was required to bring the pandemic under control. So based on that, our head of state and government said, never again, should we find ourselves in that sort of situation. And we needed to now put in place, a mechanism that will allow us to accelerate the African manufacturing agenda. So it started with the launching of a partnership for Africa vaccine manufacturing. And just last year, that was upgraded to include other products, therapeutics, diagnostics, and other life-saving intervention. And tied to that is also to provide a platform that will allow for pool procurement, of our medical product to ensure equitable, affordable, and access to those products by the different member states. So I've been asked to talk more about regulation, and colleagues have said a lot about that. So when we came on board, we knew that one of the critical enablers for any local manufacturing is to get that regulatory space right. So we started off with supporting the national regulatory authorities. Then we started working with the regional centers of excellence for regulation. And of course, we also work with other institutions within the African Union family, to accelerate the establishment of the African Medicine Agency, which today I'm glad that the African Medicine Agency is up and running. And the Africa CDs were really instrumental to that, because we added the interim secretariat, that allowed the new DG to come on board. Let me also say that in terms of a concrete result, we have been able to shift that needle from just 3 member states, that have attained that maturity level 3 to around 9 at this particular moment. And beyond that, we have also, provided a platform for the different NRAs to work together by way of a reliance mechanism, which will allow recognition, of regulatory decisions of the different NRA. Because if a product, for instance, is approved by the Ethiopia NRA, why should Rwanda be asking for another, process again? So this is to provide support in terms of that particular space, pending when the African Medicine Agency will be fully, operationalized, And the other thing we're doing in terms of a partnership, because Minister did ask, what are we doing in terms of collaboration, coordination, communication, sharing of information. So we're working closely with our colleagues in the WHO. Dr. Socé is there the other time, or just a few weeks ago, it was on the other side. So now it's on this side. I'm sure you attest to what I'm saying. So essentially it's around the WHO pre-qualification. Because for now, before now, it takes years, to pre-qualify any product, especially when the product is coming from this part of the world, So while we are working on AMAT, the African message, to be fully operationalized, we're also trying to see how do we accelerate the decision delivery time, when it comes to the WHO pre-qualification, which has really been a major stumbling block for a lot of our local manufacturers. And beyond that, we've also established, regional centers of excellence for capacity and capability. I'm glad our colleague from IPD are here, especially our colleague from IPD, who is leading the West African network. We have established in all the 5 geopolitical regions of Africa. Again, is to build the necessary biomanufacturing capacity on the continent, including what it takes to regulate products. Before now, we've sending people to, South Korea. I'm glad that Nikais is here. We send people to US. That is not sustainable. We have to build our local capacity, and 4 of the 5 RCCN, is already operational. Another area of support is around infrastructure, because whether we like it or not, for you to be a regulatory agency, that have the necessary capacity, you need to have the necessary infrastructure, So in that regard, we provided support around the labs, that will support the RNAs to be able to carry out their work. And we're also working, with the global north, regulators, the European, the FDA, to make sure that we have what it takes, to transfer some of this technology, that will allow us to build our own local capacity. And let me also say that when it comes to regulation of medical products, it requires a lot of political will, a lot of political support, and for some of us who have been working in the space, you will agree with me that one of the major success factors in accelerating the operationalization of African Medicine Agency was when Dr. Michel Sidibe was appointed as a special envoy. I don't know whether he's in the room, but for some of us who have followed Dr. Michel very well, I think he did a lot in that particular space. He moved around all the member states, and in no time we're able to get the required number, of member states, that will allow us to operationalize that. So that political support is critical. And I think this is where Africa CDC, as a specialized health institution of the continent that sits within an intergovernmental political organization, the African Union, I think this is where we come in. This is one of our own unique selling points, to drive this agenda as far as the continent is concerned. When it comes to regulation of health products, it's not just a medical issue alone. I think it's also a developmental agenda. Without a strong regulatory environment, you cannot talk of manufacturing. You cannot talk of 60% of your health product being manufactured locally by 2040. If you do not have what it takes to regulate that particular product. So again, this underscores the importance of some of the decisions, from our head of state and government, and for us to really join the African Union to operationalize some of these decisions around platform for harmonized African product manufacturing, decisions around pool procurement. Even to pool procure, you need a very strong regulatory environment. So last but not the least for me, when it comes to regulation of any medical products, we need a collective approach. We need collaboration, we need coordination, we need to work with all the relevant sectors, all the relevant players, all the partners. The mRNA hub in South Africa, Afrigen, we've been working together to drive this agenda. Gavi, we've been working with them, we've mobilized a lot of financing, Bank, the other, multilateral development banks, because they need to provide the finance, but we need to have that platform, that will allow us to coordinate and for them to see the importance, of really allocating enough resources into that particular space. So it's about air security. It's also about self-reliance. Thank you, and over to you, Your Excellency.
Thank you very much, Dr. Tajudeen. I'm sure you'll all agree with me. He's an expert in the field, and his support to the Director General of Africa CDC is remarkable. We've been interacting with both of them and other members of staff. But at this juncture, I think, Dr. Tajudeen, I'm very happy that you are doing the foundational work, that is building capacity, putting in the frameworks, because that is the policy directions, the strategies, and also capacity building, because that's for sustainability. So congratulations on that. However, I want to find out, maybe there are people in the audience who also think like me. Yes, when we have all that done, but I am of the view that if we say, for example, each of the regions, and I'm very happy that you are also having regional structures administratively and strengthening the activities that they are doing. But since the politicians listen to you, and during the AU summits, if your DG or yourself, through your other African Union partners, talk to the heads of state, each region, West Africa, East Africa, South Africa, Central Africa, if there is a way of coming up, pooling of resources and having big manufacturing plants in each of those units, is it not possible? Because yes, we build capacity, we strengthen, but we're still going to continue to import medicines and medical products for a number of years. Why am I lamenting on this? Because if you look at the resources, if you say West Africa, let's have a big pharmaceutical plant in Dakar, for example, that will service Gambia, Senegal, Guinea-Bissau, Cape Verde, and the others. There are already some that are operational private sector. To complement them or support the private sector, let them come together and build a magnificent manufacturing unit. I think at this point, I might be wrong, but that is what we need. Otherwise, we're going to have the framework, we're going to have the things, and the manufacturing and the importation continue. Why am I talking this way? Because as health minister, alhamdulillah, for 6.5 years now, going to 7 years, this has been my biggest problem, my biggest headache, how to get good quality drugs and medical items for the people of the Gambia. And it's still my biggest problem. So let's hear from you.
No, thank you, Your Excellency. I think you've hit the nail on the head, and and when it comes to, manufacturing, it's an ecosystem, and beyond that, each and every member state cannot manufacture. That's not the wise investment. And this is why Africa CDC continue to set that agenda, continue to shape that discussion. Now, this is also a space whereby it's not as if we are starting from ground zero. There are players already in that space. For instance, IPD has come a long way. So what Africa CDC is doing is to support institutions, like IPD, in West Africa, support what Rwanda is doing, support Afrigen, Bauvac, Aspen in South Africa, to be that regional center of excellence, in terms of manufacturing, support Masir in Casablanca. Maruf is not here, but Africa City is providing a lot of support in that particular regard. And tied to that, we're working with some of the major players as far as that space is concerned. I'm sure some of us are aware of the Africa Vaccine Manufacturing Accelerator, which is a 10-year sort of plan, that is going to deploy 1.2 billion USD. So we need a lot of coordination in that particular space, not to, we're not saying some member states are not going to be part of implementation of that, but for those who have already made a lot of advances in that. How do we make sure that we quickly accelerate and begin to have, success in that particular, space? Again, in terms of financial, resource mobilization, working with the African Bank, we have also been able to mobilize 2 billion USD, to support the manufacturing agenda on the continent. And most of these resources will go to what I call the front runners, as far as that manufacturing is concerned. And if you look at the way those front runners are, it's like each and every geopolitical region, as you did mention, Your Excellency, actually have a player or two in that particular space. Aspen, African Biovac in the south, IPD in the west, Rwanda in the east, Masir in the north. So that is there, and a lot of support is also going on as far as that space is concerned. Now, before I yield the floor back to you, is that for these companies or these institutions, for them to really be able to have what it takes to produce in that large scale that you're talking about, Your Excellency, we need to shape the market. We need to find a way to shape the market. Because as it is today, without appropriate market shaping, those companies, those will be outcompeted by the companies either from Asia, or from the global north. And a lot of work is going on in that particular space, to make sure that we shape that market, and we've really bring our political leadership into that space. Part of the concrete example is really ensuring that when we fully implement this decision, 30 to 40% of what is consumed in Africa will be produced or will be procured from the local manufacturers. If you don't shape the market, they will be outcompeted. And tied to that is also the pool procurement mechanism that's been put in place to also ensure that there is a proper market for this manufacturer, to incentivize, that particular space. So let me stop here, Your Excellency.
Thank you very much, Dr. TAJUDEEN. I'm happy that already you are even thinking ahead of some of us. But you don't have to answer that now during the final wrap-up. But my question will be, who will shape the market? So you will tell us that later on. At this juncture, I thank you very much, and I hand it over to my colleague, Dr. Ibrahima Socé. Thank you.
Merci beaucoup, Monsieur le Ministre. Une discussion tellement intéressante et malheureusement, nous n'avons pas beaucoup de temps. Et les interprètes nous menacent même déjà parce qu'à 13h30, il faut arrêter. Donc, nous avons moins de 15 minutes. C'est extrêmement intéressant. Il faut qu'on continue ces interactions au-delà des panels pour être sûr que c'est une discussion continue et que des actions sont prises. Je pense que Dr. Astrid avait mis en exergue la nécessité d'un investissement stratégique, ce que le ministre a renforcé encore tout à l'heure. Et il est important pour nous, quand on parle de financement, qu'on ait cette approche d'investissement stratégique. Et comme l'a dit Dr. TAJUDEEN, quand on a un problème continental, il faut une approche continentale, mais qui demande aussi un leadership national pour qu'on ait ce leadership continental. Et nous avons cet espace politique qui est l'Union africaine qui nous donne une opportunité, nous, les techniciens, de donner les bons conseils à nos chefs d'État pour prendre les bonnes décisions. Et je m'en vais maintenant donc introduire le docteur Ndiaye, qui est aussi de l'Institut Pasteur de Dakar, qui rentre fraîchement de la France. Il est en train de se tropicaliser. Donc, Ndiaye travaille dans la recherche clinique. Elle est médecin spécialisé en santé publique avec une très longue expérience. Pour vous donner juste un exemple, nous avons commencé la médecine ensemble. Donc, ça vous donne une idée de son parcours dans le temps et avec toute l'expérience collectée en Afrique, en France et un peu partout dans le monde. Et donc, il a un intérêt particulier pour la promotion de la santé et la solidarité internationale et les essais cliniques. Et donc, docteur Anna, donc les essais cliniques, nous savons, extrêmement important pour arriver à la production des vaccins, des médicaments, de tests diagnostiques et naturellement pour cette souveraineté sanitaire que tout le monde souhaite en Afrique. Mais nous savons qu'il y a beaucoup de défis et la question c'est de voir quels sont les principaux défis et quelles sont les approches de solutions pour améliorer la situation en Afrique. Merci.
Merci beaucoup, merci Socé pour cette introduction. Bonjour à tous et merci aux organisateurs aussi pour cette invitation. On peut se demander, effectivement, j'avais parlé des bonnes pratiques cliniques. On peut se poser la question de savoir pourquoi parler des bonnes pratiques cliniques dans une session sur la souveraineté vaccinale. En réalité, il est important d'aborder cette question dans cette session parce que les essais cliniques, lorsqu'on parle de souveraineté vaccinale, les essais cliniques font partie de l'équation. Et dans la réalisation des essais cliniques, il est essentiel de respecter les bonnes pratiques cliniques. Pour commencer, je dirais peut-être un petit mot pour rappeler pourquoi les bonnes pratiques cliniques sont importantes. En effet, ces bonnes pratiques cliniques sont importantes parce qu'il s'agit de normes à l'échelle internationale déjà. Et puis, deuxièmement, ça pose un cadre. Les bonnes pratiques cliniques posent un cadre pour garantir les droits et la sécurité des personnes qui participent aux recherches biomédicales. Mais également, ces bonnes pratiques cliniques garantissent l'intégrité et la fiabilité des données qui vont être finalement supportives pour des autorisations de mise sur le marché. Et donc, la question qui m'était posée, c'était de savoir effectivement quels sont les défis pour les bonnes pratiques cliniques. Et je pense qu'il y a plusieurs éléments qui peuvent permettre d'aider en tout cas au respect de ces bonnes pratiques cliniques. Et je vais en citer, j'en évoquerai que 3 ici. Le premier qui me paraît très important, c'est un système de management de la qualité. Un système de management de la qualité qui comprend à la fois une assurance qualité avec une gestion documentaire structurée et des procédures opératoires standardisées qui permettent d'éviter les erreurs, mais également d'assurer la traçabilité. Le contrôle qualité également, un contrôle qualité porté par des équipes formées, capables d'aller contrôler la réalisation des essais cliniques sur les sites, mais également des procédures d'audit. Des procédures d'audit qui permettent d'avoir une vérification indépendante de la manière dont les essais sont menés. Mais il me semble important de souligner qu'il est important d'inclure la qualité dès l'initiation des initiations des essais, notamment en veillant qu'au niveau des protocoles, d'avoir des objectifs qui soient précis et de définir également des modalités, des méthodologies qui permettent de répondre précisément aux questions qui sont posées et enfin d'avoir des critères d'évaluation qui soit à la fois pertinent et mesurable. J'ai tantôt parlé de procédures standards, opératoires standardisées, mais même avec de telles procédures, il est important de pouvoir, pour chaque protocole, parce que chaque protocole est unique, de pouvoir faire une analyse des risques pour pouvoir définir quels sont les outils spécifiques qu'il faut mettre en place pour assurer le contrôle de ces essais. Le deuxième système qui me paraît important aussi que je voulais évoquer, c'est le système de la vigilance des essais cliniques, qui est un système qui est lié au système de management de qualité, parce que c'est le management de qualité finalement qui va permettre de collecter et de remonter les données qui vont informer ce système de vigilance. Et il reviendra à ce système qui doit être structuré, avoir des processus rigoureux pour analyser ces données et pouvoir détecter des signaux de sécurité. Détecter des signaux de sécurité pour pouvoir assurer la protection des personnes qui participent à la recherche. Et donc, ce système doit être structuré et pouvoir faire une analyse rigoureuse des informations qui sont remontées. Et je disais que les deux systèmes sont liés parce que lorsqu'on détecte un signal de sécurité qui nécessite une adaptation du protocole pour assurer la sécurité des personnes, c'est le système finalement de management de la qualité qui va reprendre la main pour implémenter les modifications du protocole, mais aussi d'autres documents de l'étude. Troisième système que je voulais évoquer, c'est le système de gestion et de traitement des données. Finalement, la gouvernance des données des essais cliniques. Là également, il est important de pouvoir avoir un système qui permettent d'assurer la confidentialité, la traçabilité, la sécurité des données tout au long de leur cycle de vie. Et donc, pour terminer rapidement, parce que je sais qu'on est pris par le temps, je dirais que quand on parle des défis par rapport aux bonnes pratiques cliniques, je retiendrai 3 mots. Le premier mot, c'est organisation et structuration. Organisation de systèmes robustes, de systèmes d'assurance qualité, de systèmes de vigilance, de systèmes de gouvernance des données, mais en ayant en tête que tous ces systèmes sont liés et l'organisation doit prendre en compte cet aspect. Deuxième mot que je retiendrai, c'est la formation. Formation initiale, formation continue, à la fois des personnes qui sont censées assurer le contrôle du déroulement de ces essais au niveau des sites investigateurs, mais aussi des personnes qui sont censées mettre en œuvre ces essais cliniques. Et pour terminer, le troisième mot que je retiendrai, c'est implication. Implication de tous les acteurs, les promoteurs de recherche clinique, les investigateurs, les comités d'éthique, mais aussi les agences de régulation. Parce que le fait de réaliser des inspections de manière régulière est également un outil finalement pour aider au respect des bonnes pratiques cliniques. Donc voilà, je serais ravie de pouvoir discuter de tout ça avec vous lors des échanges dans la journée. Merci pour votre attention.
Merci Anna pour cet exposé très, très clair. Je vais juste commenter sur un aspect important, le renforcement des capacités. Et en donnant l'exemple de ces cliniques sur la maladie à virus Ebola. Les équipes de jeunes qu'on avait recrutées en Guinée en 2014, ce sont ces équipes qui ont conduit les essais cliniques sur le terrain au Congo, quelques années plus tard. Et ces mêmes jeunes, Dr. Hassan Touré Abdourahmane Diallo, ont conduit aussi les essais cliniques au niveau mondial pour les vaccins COVID, dans le cadre de R&D Blueprint pour les épidémies. Et nous avons adapté ce modèle de telle sorte que dès qu'il y a une nouvelle épidémie pour des virus pour lesquels nous n'avons pas des outils, nous enclenchons ces essais cliniques. C'est le cas pour la fièvre de la vallée du Rift en ce moment. Et nous avons beaucoup de partenariats régionaux aussi, c'est important. Nous travaillons avec le MRC en Gambie sur les aspects de ces cliniques parce qu'ils ont beaucoup d'expérience dans ce domaine. Et nous avons aussi cette alliance en Afrique de l'Ouest avec l'ensemble de ces pays pour les vaccins contre la fièvre de Lassa. Je pense que ça commence à bouger et le potentiel est énorme. Merci. Donc, je redonne la parole à Monsieur le ministre pour le dernier panéliste.
Thank you very much, my colleague, and we thank the previous panelists for giving us an insight as to all the hard work that goes into vaccine and medicine development. It's not as easy as some of us think it is, but it has to be done. And we're happy that Africa has quite a lot of capacity when it comes to some of those. And we need to bring our people together to work in a synergistic manner. At this point, we'll go to Dr. Nikes Ndembi, who is the Deputy Director General of the International Vaccine Initiative, IVI. He's joining us virtually. I hope Dr. Ndembi can hear us.
I can hear you, Excellency.
Thank you very much. So I will take a little bit of time to read your resume because people need to know the good work that you've been doing over the years. Professor Nikes Ndembi, PhD, is the Deputy Director General and Regional Director of the IVI Africa Regional Office, based in Kigali, Rwanda. Prof. Ndembi is also an Associate Professor at the Institute of Human Virology, University of Maryland School of Medicine, as well as a research professor at the Kanazawa University School of Medicine, Department of Viral Infection and International Public Health, where he completed his doctorate in molecular virology. Prior to joining IVI in 2025, Prof. Ndembi was the principal advisor to the African Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, Africa CDC's Director General, where he established the Partnerships for Africa Vaccine Manufacturing, PAVM, creating a framework for regional vaccine manufacturing and self-reliance. He additionally held the position of Deputy Incident Manager, MPOX, Marburg Continental Prevention, Preparedness and Response Plan for Africa. From them, he has authored and co-authored over 300 peer-reviewed papers and chapters in professional journals. He's the editor-in-chief of the Journal of Public Health of Africa, as well as AIDS Research and Therapy. And he has been named to the 2025 Time 100 Health list. Prof. Nembi, thank you very much for joining us. I think we are very fortunate to have such a high profile. I'm sure by reading this profile, a lot of young ones here are motivated to do more and more for humanity and for Africa. Prof, you are welcome.
Honorable Minister, thanks so much for the introduction. And the IPD Administrator General, my brother, Dr. Raji TAJUDEEN, distinguished panelist. I think it's a great honor to be here. Apologies, I couldn't make it to Dakar, a lovely city. So my contribution really.
Yes, Prof, thank you very much. You have a lot to say, I know, but I will start by just giving you to whet your appetite. I will start by asking you to kindly tell us about the role of intellectual property and technology transfer in access to vaccines, challenges and opportunities for Africa. Thank you. The floor is yours.
No, thank you so much, Honorable Minister. So let me delve really directly to the topic at hand around IP and tech transfer. I think very interesting panel. And what I can say, it's an ecosystem. We need to look at it from the ecosystem lens approach. I'm very glad that we have touched already some of the enablers, infrastructure and manufacturing, commercial manufacturing by Afrigen on the panel, coordination and regulatory system. Dr. TAJUDEEN really touched that really nicely. Skills development, Marian, and then market shaping and finance already been. So I think we've touched base, Honorable Minister and my brother, Dr. Socé, on the key component. But what is remaining that we have not discussed is actually what I'm going to touch a little bit based on R&D, tech transfer, and IP. It's fundamental that we really invest into this because that's where science, research, innovation for diseases of continental interest will start from. If we don't invest into R&D, we might not get this product manufactured. What does that mean? We're going to be doing research for overseas. We're going to be testing overseas product. I think this is important. Honorable Minister, you touched really, I mentioned that we need to work collectively. Currently, there are flagship institutions spread across the continent, but they are not working together. We are really fragmented. We need to come together, work together on the 22 priority diseases that the African Union, the Africa CDC have listed to drive this agenda on local manufacturing. It's unbelievable that issues like mpox, there's no manufacturer on the continent. Issues like cholera that has killed so far from January 2025, more than 6,000 people on the continent that we still do not have vaccines or vaccine manufacturer on the continent. These are the diseases that have been eradicated. Probably the latest outbreaks in the US was in 1911. In the UK, 1800. So these are the diseases that have been actually, there's no outbreaks in the global north. We are still dealing with. But now, what are the issues? So specific to IP, in my views, really, the failure for vaccines and other biologics transfer to Africa, despite really the really intentioned effort, are primarily around really the global IP regime. These are things that are heavily controlled, and you understand very well why the pandemic agreement, there were some contentions around that and the TRIP agreement as well. So this is what things are happening. I think we need to work on that to be sure that we overcome those challenges. As we speak, I think you're in the right place, Honorable Minister. IPD is the only manufacturer doing a drug substance for yellow fever only in Africa. The rest are fill and finish. I think this is important. So IVI, we're supporting currently BioVac in South Africa to really have a cholera vaccine manufactured in Africa by 2028. We really moved the technology and the tech transfer to Africa, where there's a center of action where these outbreaks are happening. So I think this is one. I think this can only happen if the R&D is Africa-led, really regionally connected, and lastly, really globally relevant, so that the product, as Dr. TAJUDEEN mentioned, can get into the global market, that market shaping we're all talking about. So that's extremely important. Now, the specificity on tech transfer. I believe quite often when we discuss about tech transfer, it's from really theoretically, because this is actually very important. What is happening there, I think technology transfer is not really an abstract gesture of goodwill. You never get it for free. We need to have to invest into that. And then basically it's linked to some of the mechanism around what we talked earlier, market-driven commercial initiative. They cannot tech transfer product to you where you can actually not see value on the market moving forward. So in practical terms, it's basically a business transaction which serves two independent goals. There's a donor, there's a recipient. Like what we have seen with Afrigen. Afrigen has a technology, there should be a recipient. As we speak, Honorable Minister, there were 6 designated countries to receive that technology. Some of them don't have the platform. It means that we need to invest into what I've said earlier, R&D. So if you look at the numbers, currently our GDP into R&D is 0.5%. If you look at the average globally, it's about 2.2%. I think it means that we really have to move forward investing. At least the AU target is 1%. So we really have to advance it. And these pockets of R&D has no uniform. I think you can see even the localization of those manufacturers is where you have a high GDP actually allocation into research. In North Africa, you have the West Africa, IPD, and the Southern Africa, East Africa, the majority. So it's important that we start looking into that. So to conclude there, Honorable Minister, I think we really want, number one, building really a compelling investment case around R&D, because this is going to drive science, innovation, IP, and tech transfer. And we own really the know-how for those vaccines. Currently, we don't own them. And you can count how many IPs we have on the continent. Only 27 so far tech transfer deals, not even completed. And then we have 25 African vaccine manufacturers, on average 1 by manufacturer. This is not enough for the burden of diseases that we have on the continent. The second point, we need to attract a diverse source of financing. It's a call to all those partners in the room really to now support the continent. But again, before we do that, we really have to also mobilize domestic resources to make a good case. So the 60% vaccine manufacturing that we all have as a target doesn't have a business plan. Who's funding this? At the tune of how much? I think we need to start discussing that. Thanks so much for giving the opportunity to discuss this. And then back to you, Excellency.
Thank you very much, Prof. Thank you. Thank you for giving us an insight into this topic. I think you are very right. However, sometimes we wonder where we are today. You know, that's sometimes what I ponder over. Why is Africa where we are today? Why are we the ones struggling with these kinds of problems? We should have come and slipped into making progress. But this is our take. We have to put the foundation in place. So we need to do it well. We need to come together. Otherwise, tomorrow, people will talk about us too the way I am talking about previously what didn't happen. So let's do our best so that we are not spoken of the same way. But we cannot do it in silos, and I'm very happy Professor has said that. Prof, thank you very much. That's a very good comment that African scientists need to come together. But sometimes people just cannot come together by themselves. Someone should bring them together. So this is why I personally have been putting a lot of pressure on Africa CDC. I said, do a survey. Know what is in Gambia. MRC is there. They are doing a lot of work, a lot of clinical trials. I'm sure our sister here would have known, is carried out by MRC on Gambian children and women. And the results are used worldwide, right? A lot of it, pneumococcal vaccines, if I remember well, a host of things. They've been tried in Gambia on our children. I don't know if they were tried on I myself when I was a little boy. But that's the reality. So we have to bring them, and I think I task Africa CDC again, do a mapping of research facilities and development facilities, R&D. And the next time we meet at the African Health Ministers meeting, I will ask you, TAJUDEEN, to provide that list for us. So tell your director that we need that. That way, we map them and we bring them together. Organize a big conference just for scientists, none of us, and let them talk and share ideas and come together and work together. Give them funds, give them grants. Some of the funds you lobby for, give it to them. They use their expertise and they will produce wonderful results for Africa. So I think that is very good, because without that, we will not move ahead. So we are very happy that this engagement has happened. But the other thing I also asked you is, who will shape the markets? So this is the other task, because I believe if Africa CDC, sometimes we assume our heads of states, they know. No, if I, as minister, I don't know, and I'm a doctor, how do we expect our head of state to know? And he's not a doctor, he's not a health personnel, not just a doctor, but other health personnel, or he's not an expert in that area. So someone has to tell them, someone has to explain it to them, someone has to tell them the benefits. So if we don't take the bull by the horn, we will not succeed. And believe me, if the heads of state get together and say, let this happen, with the help of the Almighty Allah, it will happen. So take it to the summit of the heads of state, and then tell them we need these things, and then when you get the buy-in, and some of us at the ministerial level could also do background support, sensitize our people. By the time they get there, they already know. So this is your other task. My brother, this discussion could go on and on and on, but we also were told that we have people who were supposed to be part of the audience. I don't know if they are here. Special invited guests, Mr. Suleiman Sumare, Madam Aissatou Jufsila, and also Madam Fatima Zahra Diop, and the director for Gavi, director for UNICEF, and the director faculty, UFR. Yeah. So if they are not here at this juncture, I know people are aging to go for lunch, but we give each of the panelists just 30 seconds, just in case they have parting words. Thank you very much. We start with Madame.
Dernier message, 30 secondes.
Donc, 30 secondes, très vite. Je vais renforcer un peu, Socé, ce que tu as dit. Effectivement, dans les défis qui sont identifiés, des chantiers sont déjà lancés. Je pense qu'il y a une dynamique qui est lancée, qu'il faut poursuivre, renforcer ce qui a déjà été fait et qui marche, et bâtir ce qu'il faut mettre en place. Voilà. Merci.
Merci.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, sir.
Je vais peut-être dire rapidement ce que je voulais dire avant que mon AG me coupe la parole. Je voulais dire que le Regional Training Hub, le centre de formation, est vraiment un outil. Donc, un outil pour les académies, pour les industriels. Donc, on est à la recherche de collaboration et de voir comment arriver à cette souveraineté-là. Shaping the market, tellement, tellement important pour tout. Pour manufacturing, pour human capacity, pour tout. Donc, mon dernier mot là. Merci à tous.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Madame? Yes.
I think this is a very exciting time. I think the fact that we have created platforms where people around Africa can get involved in the technology is exciting. So let's keep going.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Excellency. Since I'm the last to take the floor here, let me use my 30 seconds to respond to who will shape the market. Now, in terms of who will shape the market, number one, we have to start with our member states. We have a very tight procurement rules, regulations, or strategy. You know, that goes for the lowest, cost in terms of pricing, you know. So without a preferential treatment, you know, for the African manufacturer, you know, that local manufacturing agenda will not move at the pace that we want. So we have to start with repealing or modification of our procurement rule. That's number one. Number two, the global major buyers, talking of Gavi, vaccines, Global Fund, HIV, TB, malaria products, and other health products, talking of UNICEF, talking of UNOPS, we need to engage them strategically in such a way that a percentage as set by our head of state and government, 30 to 40% of what we need locally should be procured from our local manufacturers. Now, to wrap up this discussion today, the DG, Dr. Jankisia, said that local manufacturing is our second independent. You know, President Paul Kagame said air security cannot be guaranteed through goodwill alone. We have to be proactive. It's a collective responsibility, you know, and to advance local manufacturing, we need a very strong regulatory environment. And I call on all the partners in the room, member states, let's support the African Medicine Agency. It's on board, it's operational now, you know, but to take it to the set target, you know, we need to provide the needed support. Thank you, and over to you, Excellency.
Thank you. Thank you all, panelists. I think we'll be wrapping it. I opened the meeting. My brother Ibrahima Socé will close it. But my own comments are thank you very much. And just to also give you the strategy to get the countries on board, because someone has to get them on board. It is them, yes, but how do they do it? Gambia cannot do it alone. Senegal cannot do it alone. So the task now is, let me give you the little wisdom that I have learned. Find a way of now getting to those capitals, get their ministers and their presidents, special visit, and put this forward. Some countries will need to take this to the cabinet, and when cabinet approves, in many countries, it has to go to parliament, and mainly if parliament approves, then it becomes law, and then that's it. But who now brings the idea? The minister alone cannot also do that, because how did the minister know that? How does the minister convince people in Gambia that Senegal has agreed to it? Guinea-Bissau has agreed to it. It is Africa CDC that can tell the minister and the president of that country that Ghana has agreed to it, Guinea has agreed to it. Then the president says, Minister, I think you need to look into this. Go back with your team and see. Then we can develop a cabinet paper, take it to cabinet, it gets approved. Then if it needs ratification by parliament, then we take it to parliament. This is the administrative step. Thank you very much. Thank you, Honorable. Yeah.
Merci, Monsieur le Ministre. Je vais, même avant de conclure, remercier les interprètes qui sont restés avec nous.
AG, je n'ai pas donné mon point de vue, ma dernière 30 secondes là.
Oh, nickel, ton message est très bien passé, mais je te donne 30 secondes si tu veux, ou 20 secondes.
Je termine, AG, pas pour vous interrompre, avec juste une comparaison. Il y a 20 ans, la Corée produisait seulement 5% de leurs vaccins pour la consommation locale. Et aujourd'hui, ils sont à 70%. Et le secret derrière, 3 choses, ce que Marianne fait, skills development, les finances et la recherche et le développement. Donc, il faudrait qu'on apprenne vraiment que ça, c'est très important dans vraiment la production vaccinale. I think that's very important. I think that's probably my last. And then the last one is that we should agree also that our member state should accept to pay a premium. It's going to be expensive at the beginning, but for health security, it's very important. Thanks, and back to you, Ajay.
Merci beaucoup. Je vais être très bref parce que mon co-chair a bien résumé la situation et les panélistes ont été excellents. Les messages sont clairs. Mais en résumé, encore une fois, la santé est un choix politique. On ne peut pas juste demander au niveau technique ou bien au ministre de faire avancer les choses. Et nous avons l'avantage d'avoir l'Union africaine et toutes les décisions, tous les conseils qui peuvent arriver au niveau des chefs d'État sont extrêmement importants. Nous parlons souvent d'Abuja en 2001, mais il y a eu Abuja en 2000. Le premier sommet d'Abuja sur la santé des chefs d'État, c'était en avril 2000, le 25 avril 2000, sur le paludisme. À l'époque, le paludisme tuait 1 million d'enfants par an en Afrique. Ça entraîne un engagement majeur en Afrique, mais au-delà de l'Afrique, parce que le 25 avril est devenu la journée mondiale de lutte contre le paludisme. Au départ, c'était la journée africaine. Et en 10 ans, nous avons réduit de moitié les cas et les décès du paludisme, parce qu'il y a eu beaucoup d'engagement, beaucoup de ressources. C'est juste un exemple pour vous dire que l'engagement politique crée les conditions pour les experts de performer. Et nous avons une opportunité unique. Tous les pays parlent de souveraineté sanitaire. Utilisons nos mécanismes, nos leviers pour créer les conditions de mettre en œuvre cet engagement qui ne doit pas juste être un slogan. Mais nous avons des étapes, donc beaucoup de piliers de ce cadre stratégique ont été définis. Encore une fois, l'investissement stratégique de ressources est extrêmement important et nous comptons sur l'Union africaine, sur nos propres chefs d'État pour enclencher ce processus avec des engagements fermes et un système d'accountability pour nous-mêmes, pour nos chefs d'État et tous nos gouvernements. Merci encore et bon appétit à tous pour le déjeuner.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.